Welcome to another video of Senator Viranads. In this course, I'm going to show you how to create a digital media strategy from scratch. It took me 10 years to settle down on this particular framework, which I'm going to show you in this video. It's a 9-step framework and I use it for every strategy I create. So the format of this video is going to be like this. I'm going to reveal one by one each step of the framework I use, and side by side, I'm going to show you a real strategy I have worked on. So it'll give you a very good idea about how each step of the framework works and what is the outcome of that. How does the final strategy look like? And for this video, the strategy I have created is for a company called Tekla, which is a B2B company who provides softwares for architect and construction industry. The aim to choose this as one of the clients to showcase the strategy is because it's a bit dry, because it's a B2B client and a very niche product. So if you understand how to create a strategy for this kind of client, for a regular client, it should be a breeze. So without wasting any time, let's go to our step number 1. The first section of the strategy is objective and brief. Now, information for this section generally comes from the client's briefing. They actually tell you what their goals are, what their objectives are, what's their business vision, why do they want to do this digital marketing project. And sometimes they're a bit confused about, do we want growth on social media? Do we want increase in sales? That's where you step in and you actually listen to them, and then you translate into the actual objectives and KPIs, which you have to agree with them. That's why this is the first step of the strategy. In this case, this is how it looks like. For this particular strategy, I'm saying Tekla wants to revamp their online marketing strategy in UAE and KSA. The strategy needs to drive 30% more online sales year on year. Now, in certain cases, it might have more KPIs. For example, they also want to increase their follower base on YouTube and Facebook and TikTok. In certain cases, they'll be like, we want more engagement rate. Certain cases, we want more traffic with high engagement rate. And sometimes they are a bit vague, but you have to kind of derive the objective, and this is the first slide you show them, because in case they don't want this or they want something else as well, then the whole strategy will actually change accordingly. One thing you have to understand about strategy is the 9 steps I'm going to show you, they are like a story. Every section is linked to other sections as well. It all goes in line. And honestly, if you show me a strategy, the first thing I'm going to look in that strategy, does it flow like a story? So coming back to our slide, now the section 2 is market overview. Now in market overview, generally what you have to tell them is you have to basically mention macro trends which are relevant to their industry as well as your strategy, and it goes with every slide of your presentation. And one more thing to remember, every slide in your presentation needs to have a message. Okay, what do we derive from this? Why is it important for us to know? Okay, so let me take you through the market overview section one by one, each slide, and before we step into our next step of the framework. First slide I have put here is kind of understanding the market. And if you look at the slide here, Saudi Arabia and UAE have the largest budgets in design, which means because any project in design phase is actually a prospect client for our client Tekla. At the same time, there is one more project coming in Saudi Arabia, NEOM, which is like 500 billion. So you mentioned these points, which is like the overview of the market. Okay, now we go deeper. If you look at the second slide, we have pointed out 2 graphs, and you always mention the source here. For example, in the bottom, it says source Statista. So you also have to mention the source where you're getting this data from. Now, if you look here, we are highlighting the 9th biggest construction design firm is based in UAE, which is our target market. And also, if you look here, that the architecture and design industry is on the rise because this industry is growing, which means we are talking about the macro trends. Okay, this is a growing industry in this market. And then you have to use connector slides. For example, as I told you, it needs to be like a story. So here we are saying our research led us to some low-hanging opportunities and marketing strategy needs to tap into these opportunities. Okay, from this research, what we understand is there are some opportunities which we will go through. For example, the first one. So professionals were asked, what are the main barriers of implementing a BIM software in your company? Because not all companies use BIM software. The biggest reason was no client demand, which is understandable. Then lack of in-house expertise, lack of training. Now these professionals said, we do not use BIM because we don't have resources who know BIM softwares. We do not have resources for training. We don't have trained people. So overall, from this research, what we deduct is that there is a lack of training among different companies. That's why they are not going for BIM software. Adding to this, we added one more slide that, okay, there was another research done again by Statista. Now, if you see here, the companies are saying the highest budgets go to training on BIM more than actually buying the software and using it. These two slides clearly show us within our target audience, training and education resource are a priority. Now, when you do market research, there's a lot of things you will realize, but you mention only things which kind of give you a tangible outcome. Okay, you know what? This is an opportunity, and you say, how do we solve that opportunity? Okay, that's why. So this was kind of the biggest research, biggest outcome from our research, that education, in our target audience, training and education resources are a priority, but at the same time, they are a decision maker kind of for a lot of companies, that which kind of BIM software they will use. And now, to make a story out of this, there was another research done that, okay, for B2B advertisers or B2B marketers, how brands educate them, which kind of tactic is most impactful. And as per this research, again by Statista, because I had a subscription for Statista, but you can get this information from Google, and you can ask ChatGPT to give you references as well. Now here, if you see, it says blog posts and short articles, email newsletters, case studies, videos, and virtual events, webinars are the most impactful, and even ebooks, white papers, in person, they're all above 40% respondents said they are impactful. Now, what we are highlighting here is, I have seen in strategies, some people, what they do is, whatever is written here, they'll write the same thing here. So I have to say, okay, what is the message from here? For example, in here, we are saying all the leading competitors are focusing on content marketing. Now, as per the research, as well as what we analyzed from the competitors, they are focusing on content marketing. As per the stats, 93% of the B2B marketers use blog posts as a content marketing tactic. B2B businesses with blogs generate 29% more leads. 89% of the SaaS users turn to YouTube to learn. Now, most of this information is not present here in this research screenshot. That's the whole objective of presentation. When you're presenting, don't just copy paste whatever information is here in the rationale here. Okay, so this is our strategy so far. So we kind of gave it a direction. Okay, you know what, this is on the rise, and now we saw there is the problems with our target audiences, education and stuff, and then we checked, okay, what are the most impactful tactics a marketer can use to educate their client, right? Now it's clear that Tekla needs to focus on content marketing. That's like what we derived from last 3 slides. Okay, now then we take our research to, okay, what are the hero channels for content marketing? Now, okay, we know that, okay, email newsletters, people have said videos and stuff like that, but what channels are important for B2B content distribution? Now, as per this research, it says that numerous research show that LinkedIn is the hero channel for content distribution for B2B brands, and for video, it is YouTube. And after that, what we are showing is, okay, this is the last slide of our market overview, which is the second point in our framework, which is, okay, with ABM marketing, B2B, 84% B2B saw positive return, and 74% of the media spend spillover can be saved. This is another research done here. And we are summing up the whole market overview here. Okay, what are the key takeaways? LinkedIn is the primary focus to deploy ABM strategy and content marketing, and educational content distribution on YouTube is another opportunity. So this is the takeaway from this particular section. As I told you before, your strategy has to be like a story, and you need to derive, okay, what is the outcome? Don't just show them this research, that research. Okay, what's the 1 or 2 things you want us to do? What does it mean for us? And also, this only makes sense when we actually talk to the Tekla team. We asked for the brief and we asked them, do you do ABM? They said, no, we don't. Otherwise, there's no point to include it in your strategy if they're already doing it. Because it was like a common sense question for us. Any B2B client, the first question we ask is, do you do ABM strategy? And talking about ABM strategies and LinkedIn, by the way, if you're a digital marketer who is a beginner in LinkedIn ads or have been working on it for a while, but you want to step up your LinkedIn ads game, I highly recommend to check this ebook called How to Run Successful LinkedIn Ads, which is like a complete guide to set you for success on LinkedIn ads. You can download the ebook completely for free from the link in the description below. The structure of the ebook is amazing. It starts with the basics like like how to set up a powerful LinkedIn page. And then it dives into how to prepare and launch your successful LinkedIn ads campaign, how to choose campaign objectives, set up targeting strategy in your campaign, how to set bids and budgets. And not just the setup, it also has a section where it talks about how to optimize your LinkedIn ads campaigns. My favorite part about this ebook is the section where it talks about ad formats, because it will tell you everything about all the formats on LinkedIn ads and what are the best practices for each of that format. And this ebook was created by HubSpot, who is also sponsoring this video. And this leads us to our third step in our framework, which is competitor audit. Now, quickly going back, we understand the brief what the client wants. Then we did the market overview, that what are the macro trends in the market. And now we are doing a deep dive within our competitors, just the competitors. Okay, it's very important to know what our competitors are doing. Now, before we jump into each of the competitors, it's always better to have kind of a slide which kind of sets the scene. If you see here, the first 4 design softwares are from Autodesk, and then we have SketchUp from Trimble, which is actually our client. Now, Tekla here is on the 7th number. Now, among the first 7, 2 of the softwares are from our client basically. Okay, you're not the best already, but you exist in the top 7, for example. Next slide here is we give a kind of an overview of the competitors and where do we stand in terms of social media presence. For example, we mentioned AutoCAD, then we mentioned Revit and Tekla, and if we compare their social media channels, we are saying that, okay, you know what, AutoCAD has 2.2 million on followers on Facebook, while Tekla has only 11,000. However, in LinkedIn, Tekla leads 67k followers, but LinkedIn AutoCAD has only 27k. And Autodesk Revit has one Twitter channel, but they don't have YouTube. Then again, if you look here, the overall message here is Tekla is not like very behind from the best. It's kind of there. The next slide here, we don't mention everything about all the competitors. We just mention worth mentioning points. Okay, I can go here and I can have 10 slides for each competitor, but it won't make sense. You just have to highlight what is worth mentioning in the strategy. Like if you are a geek, you did a lot of research, you can just put it in the appendix towards the end of the presentation, but don't bore them. Every slide should have a message. Don't bore them. Okay, so if you see here, AutoCAD, what we saw is AutoCAD has created a LinkedIn group to help their customers to get tips, help, and latest updates, which kind of goes back to what we mentioned in the marketing overview. Maybe AutoCAD already realized that education is very important for our line of business among our target audience. That's why they created a LinkedIn group. And this kind of reinforces what you have mentioned in the, you have shown different kind of research in the market overview. This kind of reinforces, listen, your competitors already know this, but you don't. Autodesk runs always on digital campaigns to remarket, engage, and increase follower base. So they have the follow format as well, follow format ads. They run dedicated campaigns to increase followers on Facebook as well. Autodesk runs localized content across geographies. Now, one more thing, Tekla, when I did the research, they don't run localized content in MENA, but AutoCAD, they run Arabic campaigns in MENA region. And you don't have to basically mention everything here when you're presenting. So you have to keep certain points within you, which are not written here, but you mention them while presenting. It gives a vibe to the client that you know a lot more than this, which is actually true. You have done a lot of research, but you just put worth mentioning points here. Then we did a deep dive into Autodesk and Procore. What we saw is worth mentioning. Procore is adapting content to mobile first approach when it comes to their website or their ads. And then the next point is they use attractive ad sets with minimal distraction and clear CTA. This will be clear when I show you what kind of ads Tekla is running. So we just mentioned the point here. See, they have a clear CTA, book a demo. They don't use a lot of distraction. And Autodesk is running catalog ads, which is kind of new because Tekla is not. Though Tekla is selling software as a service, they have online subscriptions as well. They have web-based tools as well, but they are still not running catalog ads, and they have many softwares actually. So this is again worth mentioning here. Then we go again, then we deep dive into Autodesk, and there was one more thing which was highlighted here is Autodesk using content marketing to collect email IDs. If you see, they are running a lot of campaigns where they're promoting their reports and ebooks And to download the ebook, they actually ask you for email IDs and stuff. So they are collecting their first party data. And Tekla still is not. All of them actually have an outcome which I discussed, which we will know in the future slides. But this is worth mentioning about the computers. You don't have to mention everything, okay? Now, all the social traffic which Autodesk gets, 57% comes from YouTube alone. And because they are heavy on YouTube, which means there's an opportunity on YouTube to drive organic traffic to their website. Autodesk has many affiliate programs where influencers are pushing traffic to their website. Now, all the computer analysis we did, so we highlighted certain points, which is actually, we will actually recommend based on these in the next few slides. And then we also said, okay, Autodesk relies heavily on GDN and affiliate marketing when it comes to paid advertising. 572K website visits were generated through display advertising in last 1 year. So they are heavy on display advertising as well. Now, if you kind of look back, we understood the brief. We mentioned, okay, this is your objectives, and we kind of confirmed with them. Then we did an overview, market overview, where we highlighted the macro trends in their industry and certain things which kind of translate into the recommendations later in the strategy. And then we went narrower and we just saw what their competitors are doing, and we derived only the worth mentioning points from there. And this leads us to our fourth section of our framework, which is brand audit. Now, what brand audit means basically is, like you did competitor audit, you have to do audit of your brand. Like in this case, it's Tekla. So we have to do an audit and tell them, okay, we audited your website, your app if they have, and your social media pages, your content, your strategy. And these are the things worth mentioning. If something is going good, fine, we don't mention it here. Or if they're doing something exceptional, maybe we highlight, listen, this is very exceptional, you need to continue this. But we generally highlight what are the areas of opportunities there. Don't highlight it as mistakes because it might hit somebody's ego. Just say areas of improvement. And if you look at the first slide of our brand audit section, what we are highlighting here is Google real estate needs to be wisely used. One more headline can be used to add brand name. For example, if you see, this is one of the ad Tekla is running currently, and they're just saying Tekla software, integrated design and analysis. Need to use site link extensions to provide options and occupy more space. When bidding on branded keywords, the ad copy has to be more exciting than the organic results. If you look at, for example, I was looking at BIM software's Tekla, which is kind of a brand keyword because I'm using Tekla. Now their ad, it does not have site links. If you look at here, the Exceed BIM, they're using, look at their ad, like it's taking so much real estate on Google Ads, and Tekla here is just a small part. Now they will end up paying the same thing even if they use site links, but they are not. And also, if you look at their ad copy, somebody looking for Tekla software, this is a very, very boring headline. It looks like an organic result. One of the good things about paid media, paid PPC, is that you can customize the ad copy, what you want to show to the users. And this is very boring. They can use much more exciting. This is one of the things from the audit, okay? Similarly, we're highlighting, okay, when we did the audit, wrong implementation of dynamic ads, Tekla is promoting Revit as a brand. Now, somebody looking for Revit software, they're bidding on it. They're bidding on computer keywords. But they're using probably dynamic ads, but with wrong rules. If you see here, when you search for Revit software, Tekla is showing an ad, but it's showing Revit software, integrated design and analysis. And somebody clicking on this ad most probably is expecting that it's Revit software ad and it's going to Revit website, which is very, very wrong. They could have been smart and written here, alternative for Revit software, better than Revit software, anything, but they're just writing Revit software. This is another thing from the audit. We audited everything, but these are like the things we are showing that, okay, there's areas of improvement. Now, the third one is missed opportunities here. Keyword strategies need to be revamped. Revit alternative is one of the top searched keywords. Now, people who Revit is more expensive than them, and a lot of people, we saw there was good amount of volume, search volume for Revit alternatives. And they're not bidding on this. Tekla is not bidding on this, and they should. This is one of the hot lead keywords, as we call them, because if somebody is looking for Revit alternatives, they should be there and they should have a very exciting ad copy there. And that's one missed opportunity as well. So their PPC strategy and keyword strategy needs to be changed. Tekla YouTube audit, we did the audit, but their SEO score was not great. Now we saw how much important these YouTube is for content marketing of these kind of B2B companies, and their SEO score on YouTube is not that great. And then again, we are highlighting Tekla website audit. We did the audit, we checked the links. When you click on ask to contact you, any of these links, actually it was taking us to page not found, which needs to be fixed as well, because it's not a good user experience, and their PPC ads at least will not have a good moving on. We say there's no audience collection, tracking, remarketing strategy in place. We went to their website, we filled the contact lead form, and there was no the goal setup and the tracking setup on their website is not basically very good. And then going on to their display advertising, we saw their ads, display ads are very, very boring. Like if you see here, it's a lot of text and it's so jumbled up, this is a very jumbled ad. So we are saying they need to move from static to rich media formats. If they want to do this, it should be at least a rich media format. And they're not using attention grabbing copy. They're not using A/B testing. I checked there. The whole campaign actually had the exact same ad copy, which is not a good practice to do. Then when we audited their social media pages, we found even more horrible things. I don't know who's handling their social media, but they're using hashtag follow for follow, which is like a scam thing. And at one point of time, users used to use this to tell other users, if you follow me, our account will follow you as well. This was done on Instagram and even LinkedIn. And it's like a scam practice. And it's a public listed company, and they're using these kind of hashtags. It's not good at all. And on the other hand, if you see what Autodesk is doing, they're rolling out surveys. They're very high engaging formats, and we did not see Tekla doing it on their pages. So this was basically the client audit section. Obviously, you have to research a lot to find out these areas of opportunities, but don't bore them with obvious things, what they're doing already. It doesn't mean anything. Just mention here what are the areas of opportunities. And this basically these are the 4 sections. Now, this leads us to our now this is where the execution strategy starts. Now, what you generally do in this section is you show them who is your audience and how diverse is your audience, and how we can kind of put them in different buckets so that we have different strategy for each, because I'll show you in the next few slides that their audience is so diverse that you cannot have one strategy targeting them all. And at the same time, you kind of create a digital avatar of their audience that, okay, you know what, this is your audience, this is their habits, this is who they are. And you see if you find any data and research about that. Now, I'll show you from the real strategy how it looks like. Now, if you see here, for Tekla, we did creating personas. So we said, okay, your audience can be divided into 4 different personas. The first one is engineers and architects who actually use your products, right? That's one bucket of your audience. The second one is contractors and owners who own these design firms, who they do not work on these softwares. So their priorities are different. Their priorities are cost, for example, and things like that. But engineers, on the other hand, they have a different media habit. They are employees and they have a different media habit. They are into different demographics. So targeting each of them, though both are their audience, targeting each of them will be very, very different because they have different media habits. How they work online, what kind of media they consume is different. That's the first principle of why you divide in personas, because you have to have different messaging and different targeting for each of them. Similarly, the third audience is students, because for BIM softwares, we realize that students are very important as well, because if you are in a college, you are studying architecture, and if you get used to a particular software, if you have education programs and student plans of your software, if these students get used to your software while they are in college, university, when they go actually in a job, they will be more comfortable with this kind of software. And we realized actually a lot of big companies, they have multiple options, right? And whatever you are comfortable with, you can go with this. Each company has like 2 or 3 options. They don't just provide one option. But tapping into students early when they're in university is important as well. So you need to have a digital marketing strategy for them, attract them, onboard them so that they buy your free plans or student plans or whatever. Then the 4th type, which is like a small portion, but is the client. So for example, in UAE, if RTA, the guy who actually rolls out the contracts for architect firms, they actually have certain engineers who do QA for the work the design company is doing for them. And for them to see the designs and all, they sometimes use these BIM softwares as well. And it's very important for these clients that they use a compatible software. For example, if you create a design in one software and RTA as a client, Roads and Transport Authority, as a client use a different software, whatever designs you send to them, it's not compatible with their software. So sometimes these clients dictate to the architecture companies that in the contract that whatever you need to work on these softwares for us basically to be compatible. Now they are decision makers as well, so you need to have a digital marketing strategy for these people who are relevant, who are in the relevant job roles at your client side, so that they know. And when you tell them Tekla, and they say yes, yeah, we have Tekla as well, we have heard about this and stuff like that. So these are the 4 persona. This slide needs a lot of thought, research, brainstorming. It's a very, very important slide. And basically you have to do it for your client, no matter who it is. If it's an e-commerce website, you say, okay, you know what? Teenagers buy from your store, old people buy from your store, females who are housemakers buy from your store, and things like that. So you have to divide them into personas. And then you, based on these personas, you kind of create an avatar to tell them, okay, you know, an ideal person in this persona is like this. For example, Jack is an engineer in an architecture and design consultancy firm. Jack uses BIM softwares every day, but he's used to a certain environment. He will switch to Tekla if he finds it more compatible, cost efficient, ease of integration, or additional functionalities. He visits YouTube if he's stuck, LinkedIn, Instagram for social networking. Similarly, the owner, second one. Tyler is owner of a company. They work on bridge design in-house. He visits blogs and sites to stay informed, attends webinars, and also active on LinkedIn. So this gives you an idea that where do we tap into them? What is their priority? What kind of messaging should we have? He would switch to Tekla for cost efficiency, improved workflow, and better integration. Tyler sometimes has budgets for learning and development and innovation when he is for lookout for new and innovative solutions. So probably our software is cost effective with all the functionalities our competitors have is a good message for Tyler. And we are innovative. We bring something new to the table is a cost efficient message for Tyler. Similarly, students, Rajiv is an engineering student for a beginner and a beginner in his career. He's looking for a software to learn for a project in his college. Rajiv will soon be a professional with expertise and presence of a particular software solution and would like to stick to that during the extended period of time. When he's online, he actively reads blogs, attends webinars, and reads about case studies and goes to YouTube for learning a software. This gives you an idea. Where do we tap into them? Which channels are important for us? Hussein heads the AdNec and is always for lookout for innovation and usually can demand consultants and construction companies to adopt for a certain software. Hussein also wants to stay afloat with the new trends and technology advance. He's active on LinkedIn and Twitter and also wants to be a KOL, which is key opinion leader. Okay, now we know about the market, we know the brief, we know the market, we know what our competitors are doing, we know our weaknesses as a client, and now we know our audience. So all this is like a story. It translates to, for example, now we go to the next section of our framework, sixth one, which is channel mix and execution. Now we know our audience. It's very simple for us to determine which channels are important for us. So that's what I told you. It needs to be like a story, and the sequence of each of these sections is important as well, because, for example, audience will dictate what kind of channels you should advertise on. And in this sixth section, what you decide what are our hero channels. Okay, Google Ads is important for us, for example. YouTube is important for us. Which channels are important for us? How much budget should we allocate there? For example, Snapchat is not important for us. These kind of things is what you put in this part of the strategy. And then again, you choose a media mix. Okay, how much budget will go where? What kind of formats will we use? And things like that. In certain cases, you do audience sizing in this one as well. For example, you say, okay, LinkedIn is our best channel, but we only have 3,000, 30,000, 20,000 people here, so we cannot allocate a lot of budget here. So audience sizing is actually a part of channel mix and execution as well. This is where you basically decide where do we execute, what kind of channels do we use. Okay, let me show you the actual strategy, what goes into this section. In this case, for example, the first thing we do is what does our audience do online? Now, okay, we know our audience. to decide on channel mix, what do? Now, what we realized is these 4 persona, what they do is, this is what they have in their bio. Software, top words in bios: construction, management, CAD, software. Top hashtags they interact with is construction, AEC, engineering, webinar. Frequently used phrases in their comments or posts is construction projects, augmented reality, built environment, supply chain. This kind of things, this kind of research, for example, this one is done using Spark Toro, which has a free plan as well. And I think this one is all of them are Spark Toro. There are multiple tools. But now with AI, it's become very, very easy. You don't need all these tools. For example, if you want to know more how to do the strategy with just ChatGPT, I have a dedicated course which you can go through, which talks about how a digital marketer can use ChatGPT to basically do everything to create a strategy just using ChatGPT. Even things before ChatGPT, how to create briefing template and things like that. You can check that course out. Otherwise, you just have to subscribe these tools. Sometimes you get this information for free. For example, all these 3, I do not have a Spark Toro subscription, but I was still able to get this information. Similarly, when we look at these audiences, we see what kind of websites they engage with and blogs. For example, TechCrunch, Arc Daily, and Construction News. These are among our audience. Mostly like 20%, 19%, 16% of them use one of these. So it gives us an idea about their online behavior. And when we see what kind of pages do they follow, so social accounts they follow is Autodesk Revit, Autodesk University, and websites they visit most is these autodesk.com, engineering.com, and then there were certain accounts like arctic.com, constructionenquirer.com, and these are pages, Paul Wilkinson, and things like that. I'll tell you later how this information is important. But this gives an idea that, okay, what do they do online? How should we buy media online? To decide on these channels, what message I'm portraying here is buyer journey has become complicated. It's not simple like 10 years ago. A user would see your ad on YouTube and enter your awareness phase. Then you show him 2 or 3 ads, some case studies. Then he goes to consideration phase and yalla, he goes and buys. Now, buyer journey is very different. They go, they compare, then they read reviews, and then they research, and it's hodgepodge. So that's the message. So it's not simple anymore. So what we need to do is to simplify this. What we do is when we compare the buyer journey, modern buyer journey with the traditional marketing funnel, what we need to understand is a Tekla audience can be divided into these 4 groups. The first one is problem aware. These are the people, they know that they have a problem. For example, okay, we are not using BIM software. We have a problem that in this design, we just want to do a 3D thing, for example, whatever. They know they have this problem, but they don't know that there's something called BIM softwares that can solve our problem. Now, there is another group who know that they have a problem, but they're solution aware. They know BIM softwares can solve their problem. It's just they're waiting for that point when they're like, no, we need a BIM software now. That's another category. It's basically based on user journey, where they stand in the buying decision. The third one is brand aware. Now, they know they have a problem, they know there is solution, and they also know that Tekla is one of the BIM companies. They provide this kind of software. And then there are hot leads. They know problem, they know the solution, they know there is Tekla, and they know Revit, they know other computers as well. And at this point, they're just going to Google and search for BIM pricing plans, BIM best companies, which BIM software to go, Revit versus Tekla. And they do this kind of searches on Google. So this is basically our user journey and 4 kind of decision in their decision purchase. Okay, interesting, but how do we do it? Now, this is basically an important, as much important as our persona slide. This is where you actually define all your strategy. Now you divide the consumer stage on these, and you tell the client that, okay, how will we target them? This is the way we target each of them based on their user journey. What are the messaging pillars? Okay, what kind of messaging do we have? For example, problem aware, who just know their problem, we have to educate them. We have to do branding ads to show them, we are a good company, we are among the top. And similarly, solution aware, educate, branding, and we tell them USPs. They know there's a solution called BIM software. They don't know us, so we need to focus a lot on our branding and showing them USPs. Similarly, hot leads, we just, at that point, you just tell them offers. Okay, you know what, 45 days free trial, whatever. And this is strategy pillars, which is the same thing I discussed, which is actually, this is a deployment chart, which explains everything. And then jumping into the channels, okay, in terms of what channels we should use. We tell them search has the highest intent, because if somebody is looking for Revit alternatives or Tekla BIM software or best BIM software, they are hot leads. First budget allocation needs to go to search, because these are people who are already looking. They're sold. They don't need to know if the BIM software solved their problem. They know all of this. They are just about to purchase. So always the first chunk will go to Google search, but it again depends on the search volume before you allocate 50% of the budget. But this is what we are telling them. The search, we are telling them channel mix. What are the channels important for us and how will we allocate budget? So we are saying brand campaigns to avoid missing opportunities. You remember now from the website audit, now we are suggesting based on that. We need to have brand campaigns to avoid missed opportunities, like somebody was looking for Revit alternatives. Bid on computer keywords, ad group segmentation based on user journey, ad copies based on search query. These are the more highlights of search channel, which we told them this is our first hero channel. After Google search, deploying ABM using LinkedIn is an obvious choice. We're telling them this is what we have to do. The second most important channel for us is LinkedIn, because we can do ABM. What we do is list top prospect, architect, and design companies, contractors with relevant job roles, client companies, and students studying relevant degrees. We create that audience, and it can only be done in LinkedIn. And then, you have your ABM strategy audience, and then you have an always on campaign targeted with them. And utilize tools like Lead Feeder to know more about first party audience and create stronger ABM models. Now, Lead Feeder can be integrated to your website. It tells you what kind of people visit your website, which companies do they work for. So it gives you more ideas than your initial list. You initially saw 50 design and architect firms and added to your LinkedIn ABM targeting. And Lead Feeder can tell you sometimes, there are people coming from this particular company. They might be your prospect client as well. So it helps you to basically make your ABM list better. After Google and LinkedIn, we are saying then we will go to bidding and performance channels for prospecting and engagement. For example, Google Display Network, YouTube, and Meta. And what we do is we use wider reach. Because ABM will be restrictive, Google will be restrictive. These channels will use for wider reach and tactical retargeting. If somebody saw your ad on Google, visited your website, now you can use these channels to retarget them, right? YouTube and display provides amazing contextual targeting. For example, on YouTube, you can target videos of construction Cambodia, source CAD. Now, if somebody goes to these channels, they probably are an architect. They're learning about particular CAD software. That's the videos of these channels are about. And you show your ads there, which means you're reaching out to your audience again, but it's a bit wider. It's more prospecting. And then we go to, apart from these, using third-party websites for precision marketing, we target people. For example, we will partner with Big Five, which is like an event for construction engineers. So all the people there basically are closely related to Tekla. AdPoint Intent is one more company who provides data like these. And Construction Week is again a popular website and magazine which architects go to. So we are saying that we need to, and Tekla was not doing this. We need to do partnerships with these, for example, buying audience from these companies, buying media on these websites, or retargeting users of these websites. So this is basically our channel mix: Google Ads, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google Display Network, YouTube, and then partner websites like these, which we can also target through programmatic ads. Okay, then what we are telling, I hope you're feeling what I mentioned in the beginning, that it needs to be like a story. Okay, so now you also have to insert these kind of slides in between so that you stitch it together. For example, beyond the usuals, we also recommend some new channels Tekla is not using, which is the first one is email automation. They said they are not using it, and it's very, very important. We need to leverage first-party data and reduce reliance on paid media to keep audiences engaged. We highly recommend a CDP like Braze, Telium, or Tekla. Now, this is something called big bets. In your presentation, when you tell a story, for example, channel mix, then you tell, you know what, these are the big bets. These are our most important recommendations. You are not doing email automation. We need to have email flows. Because the benefits will be no reliance on platform reach, first party data resources for distribution, lookalike modeling, and CDP use case. Free email marketing channel can be leveraged. Now, again, we are also mentioning that Tekla is not doing affiliate marketing and influencer marketing. We need to engage micro and macro influencers to drive sales and affiliate commissions and influencer marketing. For example, we need to use Partner Stack, Partnerize, Impact, any of these platforms to have our affiliate marketing. And a lot of influencers go to these, even publishing houses, go to these websites, they become your partner and they push for your sales and you pay affiliate commissions. And then again, we need to do influencer marketing, and we are suggesting, for example, Cad and Black, Kyle Cinco. These are 2 YouTube channels which talk about architecture design. So all the people who go there are related to architecture design. They want to know about BIM softwares as well. So you need to kind of have a partnership with them. For example, in this video, like I did a partnership for HubSpot. Similarly, they need to do partnerships like with these kind of channels, which will help them a lot. And after you finish your recommendations, you basically give them an overview of your budget. Okay, for example, in this case, they said our total budget is probably $40,000. And this is how we will split. You give the channel, what ad formats will you use, and it has to be in line with the channel mix. For example, Google search will take the first budget, which is $48,000, and you explain, okay, we did, you put in the appendix maybe, Reach Planner told us that this is the available search volume, so we're allocating $4,800. Then LinkedIn banners and video, we are using $1,500, and LinkedIn InMail, we are using $7,500. And Meta carousel, this is the budget basically, and this is a media plan actually. And if you want to know more about how to do a media plan, I have this video where I talk about how to work on a media plan. And if you're going through the AI marketing course, I have a dedicated video there where I show how to use ChatGPT to create a media plan. Then you give the deliverables for each channel, that what is the expected KPI, CTR, clicks, and what will be the budget split here. And you give an overview basically to your media plan. Then you show, okay, how are we splitting the budget across each channel and what are the impressions and clicks from each of these channels we are expecting. And that is basically your channel mix. Now, just quickly revising, the first part was brief, where we tell them, okay, this is what you want. The second one was market overview. We tell them overall, what are the trends in the market? Then what are your competitors doing? Then we jumped into what is your assets like? What are the areas of opportunities? Once we have all that, then we deep dived into the actual strategy, which was, we told them, okay, this is your audience. Based on that audience, we jumped into our next section, which was channel mix. Okay, this is the audience. These are the channels we should reach out to them. Now we are going to our next section, which is 7th, which is creative and ad copies. Okay, we know who to show ads. We know where to show them ads, but what do we tell in the ads? So that's what this section is about, creative and ad copy. So this is the first slide where we tell them, okay, before you decide on what messaging you have to say, you have to first see what the users are saying, because the best starting point is to first see what the users are already talking about, your audience. Now, if you quickly go to Quora.com, for example, there are a lot of posts I was reading, okay, Tekla versus Revit, which one is better? And these are actually engineers who actually work on these softwares, and they're talking about this. Now, from these kind of posts on Quora and Reddit and things like that, you first understand what is very important for our audience. Now, these guys write about what is important for them, what are the problems they're facing with Revit, Tekla, whatever. It gives you an idea that what does our messaging need to focus on. If a lot of people are saying Tekla or Revit does not have a web-based software, so every time I need to carry my laptop, if I'm sometimes working on my desktop in my office, I need to install it there and things like that's where you get the first pillar of your messaging. Okay, you know what? Web-based tool, whatever. So I'm just giving you an idea. But from this messaging top overview, when I check that, Tekla does not have an awareness problem, which we know already. All these know about Tekla. They were mentioning Tekla. So Tekla does not have an awareness problem. Then we say, okay, that leads us to 3 pillars of creative Tekla. First, we need building awareness for Tekla with attractive visuals to enrich our first-party data pools. But as we know already, we do not need to focus on a lot on this one. Then there are two other pillars we need to focus on: increase engagement metrics that reflect building education for Tekla, eventually driving conversions with pinpoint, targeted and direct sales messaging. So this is the three pillars we decided for our messaging. Whenever we write an ad, it has to be focused on one of these. So we are kind of filtering it down. Then we are saying when we go to messaging, mapping messaging to targeting layer. So when we are doing prospecting and lookalike, we need to do a lot of A/B test, multiple copies, prominent hashtag and branding, and highlighting offer. Which actually, when we're doing brand audits, we saw there were areas of opportunities. This is where you connect back to that. So these are the things we need to focus on. And this is like an ad, for example. You saw the ad in the yellow, which was like Hosh Posh. If I was creating the same ad, see how just a bit of redesigning, we did it. And there is Tekla branding. There is a hashtag. It looks, the design looks clean, and it still retains all the assets that were used in that ad. So this is just an example you need to explain to your client. Then if I was creating a carousel from this, because we mentioned that carousel needs to be used, any rich media format which is engaging, and this is how we will design it. This is the second card, third card, fourth card. So if you see here, this is more kind of attractive. I'm not a creative designer, and I cannot spend days and days just to design one of the creatives. This is just a mock-up. Okay, if you show it to a creative designer, or he can come up with, based on this direction, he can come up with much better creatives. About remarketing, messaging, what we need to do is remarketing has to be personalized, target similar products, re-engage with existing offers. Now what we saw is in remarketing, Tekla was running the same ads as prospecting, but what we are suggesting is you have existing offers. They have a 45-day free trial, but they were not showing it in their ads. Okay, they don't want to show it in prospecting ads. But what about remarketing? People who visited your website, just show a personalized message like this one. See, this is a very attractive ad. Okay, there's a lock. Your Tekla 2 2021 unlocked. Now, someone who already has been to a Tekla website, for them, they know what this ad is about. This is personalized. You know what? Your Tekla 2021 account is unlocked. And we can use this existing offer and say, okay, 45 days trial. For a remarketing ad, this is very engaging. Then we also suggesting here, we are recommending to use native programmatic banners for this style, for example, because native ads through editorial-like feel. If used with right context targeting, it leads to brand lift and concentration. Now, look, if you go to Construction Week, your magazine, and you see an ad like this native ad, it's like an editorial article, and it gives you branding, consideration. When you see on website like Construction Week, an ad like this, obviously you look at, okay, it's from Tekla and it builds on the branding. This is just a mock-up. So now we know the audience, we know the channels, and now even we know the messaging, like the main pillars of the messaging. That's when it leads us to our eighth section of our framework, which is reporting and data. Okay, now we know all of this. We did the market research, we chose the audience, we chose the targeting, we chose the channels, we chose what messaging. We have a campaign, we are targeting these campaigns online based on this strategy. How do we know what is working and what's not? And how do we derive basically points from our existing campaign reports, and we use it to kind of feed it back to the system and optimize? Maybe the messaging needs to improve, the channel mix needs to be improved. We need to allocate more budget to this channel because it's working. So that's why reporting is important. It's important because you can see that, okay, the initial strategy we had certain assumptions. It's not working that way. We thought Google has less search volume, but in actually it has more, and it's giving us good sales. So we need to push more budgets. Only reporting tells you that. So reporting is very important. You always need to tell clients how you will help to report them in a better and efficient way. Trust me, when we used to pitch for clients, when I used to explain to them how reporting, we will work on your reporting, a lot of clients we got, a major factor was reporting, because we used to understand. Because I knew, working with a lot of big brands, that the marketing managers suffer when they have to basically report to their management how the agency is working, how the campaigns are going. They used to ask other agencies, sometimes with the delays, they would get data which they were not sure about. I used to tell them, listen, I'll give you a live dashboard. You take a screenshot, go directly in the meeting and show it there. They'd be like, really? So similarly, reporting is a very, very important tool for freelancers and agencies. And even if you're working on your own business, you need to have a reporting suite. So here, what we are telling them is, before we show them reporting, we telling them how we will use your data. What will be your data structure look like? Now here we are telling them data needs to be at the center of our strategy. We ensure efficient ways to collect and then utilize the data. We're telling them this is your first party data, this is your second party data, this is your third party data. You need to have something called Tekla Data Hub. For example, you can use Braze, and from there you can push to your channels and use it in these ways. But all your data hub needs to be centralized, and this is the architecture we are suggesting for you, because they were not using any CDP. So we are telling them you have to, we recommend CDP, for example Braze, and this is how your data flow will look like. All the webinar case studies, resources, brochures would only available after filling up lead form, which will enrich the data hub. We are telling them you can also later go to content marketing, which we suggested, and push webinars or ebooks or reports, and people will have to fill the lead form to get those reports, and you can enrich your first party data. So this is basically what we are suggesting their ad tech data tech stack to be. And then when it comes to reporting, this is what we suggest. So we gave them a sample report here. This is the kind of report we'll provide you. We even gave a link here. You can scan for the demo. In the meeting they can check, okay, this is the demo report, this is the kind of report we will get, and which is very, very important for them. And we're telling them all the media buying tools need to be connected to central visualization tool. Reports can be split by markets, channels, whatever is important for the client. Will help you in optimization on the go, primary and secondary metrics to be highlighted in the report. And it's not important that you always show that you're going to have a live real dashboard for them. You can also, for example, if you're a freelancer and you don't have resources or skills to create an automatic dashboard for them, what you can also do is send them weekly reports. You can just show a template here that this is the kind of report, I'll send it to you weekly, daily, monthly. And this leads us to our last section of our framework, which is kind of optional, but I always do this because this is what kind of starts conversations with the client, and you become like, after showing your strategy, you understand how much did they like it, or what do they think was missing in the strategy. But it's always a conversation starter, and it kind of reinforces to them that what unique you're bringing to the table. And also always remember this, when you're doing a strategy for a client, always show them something which they're not doing already, because that's what will give you an edge if they have to select between multiple freelancers or agencies. So this section I call big bet highlights. We already discussed these big bets, but in this section you highlight, okay, what are the things we recommended to you. So in this case, it's just one slide. What I'm showing here is the way forward for us includes email automation and data hub. You talk about for a minute. Then always on ABM strategy is something you should have because you don't have it. And content marketing and how we will do the content marketing. You can add a slide or two about, okay, we can support you in content marketing in this way. We have an SEO team, we have content writers or whatever. But this is what your section, this section is about. And then that was all the presentation. So I hope this is very clear for you that what the framework I always use, how do I do it, and I was able to convey the message that how it needs to be like a story. By the way, if you want to buy this strategy for yourself, to use it like as a starting point, we are selling this strategy on our website as well. I'll provide the link in the description below. And also it's worth to check our AI marketing course where we talk about how you can use just ChatGPT to do all of this. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.